Imagine you've just arrived at your favorite taco stand. You order 2 tacos with everything, savor every bite, compliment the taquero, pay your bill, and leave. But that taco that you enjoyed so much is nothing without an excellent tortilla. And the best tortillas are made with native corn. Let's take a look at the people that are behind this corn. Imagine you're a woman that works in the fields. You're in your 20s, you have 2 kids. You live in the southwest of Mexico, the poorest region in the country. Your family has a milpa, just a hectare up in the Sierra. You have to walk to get there, which is about an hour away. You're in the same situation as 3 out of 4 agricultural workers in Mexico. You eat what you produce, although sometimes you sell or exchange some of your products in the local market. Your family's income comes from various sources. Someone in your family travels to Mexico City to get some extra money. Sometimes you earn what you were hoping for, even though the city is tough. You go back home angry and hesitant to return to face all those racist insults again. You might face sexual harassment, breach of contract, and more. And you have no one to turn to, no one that will help. But you knuckle down and bear it because your family needs that extra income. Sometimes your brother in the US sends money home to help you with school supplies, to buy seeds and tools to sow in the milpa or for the town festivities. But the most stable income for your family over the last few years has been the 2,000 pesos, around $100, that you receive every 2 months from government support programs. You turned out to vote last July because you truly believed that López Obrador was your man, that he was going to support you. They told you that he was the people's candidate. But the first thing he did in office was shut down the program and leave you without the only stable income your family had. Now all you have is your milpa. Sometimes engineers come to visit your town. They tell you that what you really need to do is plant something more profitable, something other than corn, fruits, vegetables. They tell you to focus more on that coffee that you produce, that this will be more profitable, that you are losing money by only planting corn. But they don't understand anything. That milpa is the only thing that is truly yours, that nobody can take away from you. The milpa provides your seeds, and it feeds you and your family for months. Tortillas, gorditas, pozole, squash and chiles, some chickens and turkeys, pigs when you are able. Your milpa is your social security. You can't make tortillas with coffee beans. This is what they don't understand. You're a guardian of the natural world. You should be paid for the work that you do to protect Mexico's biodiversity. You carefully select the best ears of corn from the strongest, healthiest, and most beautiful plants so that you can continue to improve your milpa next year. The payment that you receive from the government shouldn't be because you're poor, but instead because you help protect and conserve nature's wealth, the wealth that city dwellers find so beautiful, so authentic. Now imagine that you're working for the Mexican Ministry of Agriculture. You work for one of the most powerful agencies in Latin America. In the 90s, Mexico was the country with the highest spending in agricultural development in the region. One of the pillars of the PRI's perfect dictatorship was the distribution of land and agricultural clientelism. You know that NAFTA led to the loss of more campesino jobs than those gained in the agribusiness industry. But this seems reasonable. Subsistence farming perpetuates poverty. You've said that publicly. But new members of this administration want to promote agroecology and milpa farming. But how? Milpa farming is a myth now, and agroecology is so difficult to scale up. It depends on local conditions. You can't just replicate a set of good practices across every region. If the people demand cheap tortillas, you need to produce and provide cheap tortillas. Punto. To do this, you use technology that has been proudly developed in the country. Mexico has some of the best research centers in the world, like CIMMYT, one of the leading technology centers for the Green Revolution. Some people say that support programs are corrupt, that we're one of the most corrupt ministries. Well, that's just part of our DNA. You know that a lot, and I mean a lot, of money from the Ministry of Agriculture is used for political campaigns. But we've already made improvements. Now we publish our beneficiary lists. Yes, they are still very opaque, But if they were transparent, everybody would be able to find the duplicate payments and the support for large-scale producers that don't need it. They would see that corporations like Cargill and Maseca have received public funds. You've actually given small farmers significant support for years, but suddenly these programs aren't enough and the farmers come and shut down your offices. They really should be knocking on the door of the Ministry of Social Development. That's who should be dealing with them. I mean, what are you supposed to do with farmers that don't even know what a technology package is? You were trained to provide inputs, fertilizers, seeds, irrigation systems, and greenhouses. You don't know how to grow things in the Sierra. And you're also bothered by all the critics that expect you to have an integral vision of food systems, claiming that many of the programs have actually negative impacts, that Procampo has encouraged intensive agriculture, that the new program Sembrando Vidas fosters deforestation, that the price guarantee program is a disaster, that the Mayan Train project is going to destroy unique ecosystems in the South. And they have a point. But what are you supposed to do when many of these are the pet projects of a capricious president? The president has said that he's against GMO corn, but he's also appointed people to his cabinet that are closely tied to these powerful interests. Previous administrations were always supportive of Monsanto, but really, when all is said and done, you believe that the Ministry of Agriculture is going to get involved, that hopefully under this administration, your version of progress will be made by promoting GMO corn, and modern agriculture will finalize its takeover little by little. Now imagine that you are a native corn in Mexico. You're the king of the country. Mexico is the home place of corn with more than 65 species. Your family is huge with almost 20,000 varieties. Your offspring, tortillas, tamales, gorditas, are the basis of nearly every meal in Mexico. The whole country understands that corn is a fundamental part of their identity. They say, sin maíz no hay país. Without corn, there's no country. You're not like that invader from the north. The GMO corn used to feed livestock, produce biofuel, and create ultra-processed foods that are causing a global public health crisis. This invader is accused of not being very nutritious, but it has a lot of support from the US government. You know that you are special. Whole social movements spring up when you are not available for tortillas, like the tortillas in 2007, when people came together to support you. But you feel like this respect, this love, is mostly symbolic, because it seems like hardly anyone is really protecting you now. And they say that you don't produce enough, that you produce only 1 ton per hectare, 2 maximum in perfect environments, while your cousin, the hybrid grown in Sinaloa, produces 12 or more tons per hectare. They say that you are too expensive, too difficult, that it's much more work to plant, clean, and harvest you, that you need 4 or 5 seeds planted at least a step apart, and once you've been planted, all anyone can do is hope that one of you takes. Your hybrid cousin can be grown much closer together and is much more likely to sprout. That's why it's cheaper. They also say that berries and avocados are sexier and more productive. They say that the milpa means poverty. The truth is that you are the product of a natural genetic engineering process that has taken place over 8,000 years. That those who know you well marvel at your diverse colors and textures, that variety of flavors and high nutritional value, your flexibility to adapt to a wide range of growing conditions, cooking techniques, and traditions. Recently, you've drawn the attention of hipsters in Denmark and the US, and you are considered a delicacy in the best restaurants and food trucks around the world. They say, nadie es profeta en su tierra. No one is a prophet in their own land. It seems that's true even for corn. You know that your best hope for survival lies with the small farmers and the milpas. Everyone has a role to play in supporting them. Consumers, policymakers, chefs, activists, in Mexico and around the world, like everyone here at the Corn Symposium. And finally, imagine that you're an activist. You're proud of what civil society has achieved in Mexico. In 2003, the El Campo No Aguanta Más movement managed to increase the support given to the poorest agricultural producers. In 2007, the price of tortillas increased almost 50%. The tortillazo and the Sin el Maíz No Hay País movements brought the country together. The price of milk had also increased, but nobody took to the streets for milk. You're inspired by the activists that have used court challenges to prevent the introduction of Monsanto's GMO corn in Mexico. You've always been worried about the simplistic narrative that seems to dominate food systems policies in Mexico. The green revolution, the berry boom, fertilizers for all. Plus, the country's agricultural development programs have always been designed and implemented from the top down. They don't engage with civil society, there's no accountability, they don't even include the supposed beneficiaries. Now you're working on different issues. As part of the Tortilla Alliance, you're working to promote the consumption of nixtamalized tortillas, which have much more nutritional value than industrial ones. You're working to promote tortillas made with heirloom corn to protect Mexico's biodiversity. You are working for a healthier environment. A few years ago, Mexican activists advocated for the implementation of a soda tax, which has been very successful. Now you're working to implement clear labeling on ultra-processed foods, many of which are made with cheap corn imported from the US. You have identified clear opportunities to reduce corruption in the agricultural sector, and you hope that the new administration is going to be sympathetic with your proposals. You're promoting urban agriculture with a social justice perspective. And now you're here sharing these profiles supported by studies from prestigious Mexican experts, including the research and interviews conducted by you and your team. And you are hopeful because you have an audience of engaged leaders that are interested in corn. And you think that this audience has the passion and has the power to create true change. Thank you.